All right. Could be live. Yes. All right. Hey, everybody. We will be getting started hopefully shortly. We are going to be joined by another Twitch streamer known as Universal Discourse. She should be joining us after she gets done with her little break that she was taking on her stream. And we'll be getting, once she gets in here, we'll get started on the news roundup. This is a new thing for us, so please be understanding. We'll also clip down everything and stuff like that once the video is actually live on YouTube. Mateo, how you been, man?
Been all right. What about you?
Sorry. Little defeated with my job search right now, but it'll get better.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing interviews, which is actually, it feels like it's worthless, but it's really good practice, unless you already got it down, of course.
No, I clearly don't. Or else I would have been offered a job.
What do you think you're doing wrong?
I didn't.
You
really
might not be doing anything wrong, actually. It could just be luck of the draw.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of that too. But there was one interview where it was, I guess, a technical interview, but the way the interviewer asked me questions wasn't really conducive to an interview. It was more like, "Tell me what you did," or "This is kind of what I did." Oh, okay, bye. And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like, there's no follow-up questions from them or anything like that. And I'm like, all right, that was a weird interview. I guess I'm not
Kind of
going to
jobs?
get hired for this. Data science. All of them, various business intelligence and different things like that. So,
Oh, okay.
if we don't have anybody watching us right now, so it's all good. Yeah.
AMC's down like 26% after hours. AMC, it's down about 26% after hours. No, they don't stop it in after hours.
No, I mean, but that's probably why it's down. Nobody's buying it because they halted trading.
No,
earlier.
They don't halt it in after hours. They halted it got halted like 20 times during the day.
Oh,
they halt it and then they let it back on and then they halt it. It depends on how big of a swing it's making. Like if it's making drastic moves, it automatically triggers it, and then like after a certain amount of time, they'll let it go back.
I gotcha.
But in after hours, I don't think they have those.
You gotta go to your stream.
If it goes up and down, like it goes up and down.
Go ahead, let me know, and then I'll come in and try to set these things up with you.
Oh, Uni, I'm live right now. No, it's all good. It's all good. We told everybody, like, there's nobody watching us right now, so that's all good. But we told everybody that we would be waiting on you.
I'm here.
So if you can, if you prefer not to be on camera, we can do that, and we can just hop over to my Discord, or I can get you set up into the camera super quickly.
Yeah, let's set up the camera because they need to learn this anyway.
Okay.
I don't care. Yeah.
One
okay.
second,
so what do I do? Okay, go ahead.
1 second. Mateo, I'm going to walk her through this really quick. Just an FYI. We'll have to trim this down, so that's all good. Okay, so Uni, what you're going to do is you're going to go back to that link that I gave you. So just go ahead and click on it again. Actually, no. First, before you do that, go ahead and turn off your camera in slobs. Like, disconnect it.
How do I do that? That's the only thing.
It's
on video capture device.
Yes. So video capture device, just disable it.
I just deleted it. I can add it back. It's not a problem.
So after that, then go back to that link that I gave you.
And let me get that back up. Okay, I gotta do this a certain way. All right, just a second. There we go. Okie dokie.
And this time you're gonna join with the camera, and hopefully it will pull it up. It should, because you're just using a regular camera, right?
Let's find out. It shows up.
All right, cool.
So go ahead and start.
Yeah, go ahead and hit start.
Oh, you're kidding.
There it goes. All right, I have to.
I look a little art noir.
Hold on. I gotta disconnect. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. Mateo, can you see her?
Okay. Hello.
Awesome. We can't hear you, Mateo.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Okay. So with this, what you're going to do, Uni, is that I'm going to give you a solo link, and I'm gonna send it to you really quick through chat. So in this solo link, let me make sure. Okay.
I got.
So with that
Blanket
solo
Fortress.
link, actually, let me ignore that one because I don't know if it's the right one. So with that solo link, what you're going to do is you're going to copy that link that I just sent you, and you're going to put it into a browser source on Slobs. And that's it. Then you'll be browsing, then you'll be displaying your camera from that link to your viewers.
Okay. Did you put it in my chat or?
Oh, yes, I put it in the coop. Sorry.
Okay, hold on.
And then I have to get you into the camera. My end. I also have to edit your audio settings because I have a little bit of feedback from you. Not much.
It's because I have two things open at once. All right, then you need that as a browser source.
Yep, you're gonna put that in there as a browser source.
Oh, let's see if I can do that.
Oh, it's not. Why ain't you working? Something is off.
Naturally.
Alright, I gotta refresh my... Oh no, I lost... Okay. Oh, I lost you entirely, Uni.
I'm still
okay.
sitting here on my end.
Right, okay, so what... I'm gonna give you another link, because for whatever reason you got disconnected from my director's panel. And it's the same thing. You're just going to go to this link and you're going to join it. I don't know what happened, but something happened. Maybe the link changed on me or something. I'll private message you this directly.
Are you going to DM me? Okay.
And then just exit out of that, out of the scene, out of the link that you're currently on. Before you join it.
Oh, how do I exit out? Where's the exit? Hang up
you
call?
can just, yeah, you can hang up call.
Okay.
Be back in a second.
And this is your last ninja room. Okay.
Why are you still in? Okay, there it goes. The wonders of technology, everybody.
We lost someone?
No, Universal Discourse is going to come back. For whatever reason, they dropped out of my director's panel, so I couldn't copy their solo link. So they'll be back, and hopefully. There they go. Perfect. Now I can see you. And then I just do this. And your audio is better now too, so something fixed. And okay, it refreshed like you're there you go. Yeah, you're in. You're in video now. Yay.
Yay.
All right, cool. Now we're ready to start. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to another news roundup. I am your host and moderator, Anthony Rivera Strain, and today I am joined by Mateo DeGaulle.
What's up?
And joining us for the first time on the show is a friend of the podcast, who goes by the moniker of Universal Discourse. Everybody, welcome Universal Discourse.
How you doing? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
This is great. So if this is your first time joining us or watching us from the Universal Discourse channel, Crowdsourced Politics is a funky little debate community on Facebook that gave birth to a podcast under the same name. We cover a variety of topics, including things like the Libyan civil war, modern monetary theory, President Trump's impeachment at this point, and a host of variety of other topics. Generally speaking, releasing 2 episodes a month. This is our weekly news roundup where we go live on Twitch at Wednesday, generally speaking, around 7 p.m. Eastern, and where we talk about the news that was from Wednesday to Wednesday. And that's what we're going to do today. So, Universal Discourse, please introduce yourself to our viewers, and then once we do that, we'll get on with the show.
Well, I'm kind of new to Twitch. I've actually been here since April, but I'm an indigenous scholar. I'm a researcher, a musician, a veteran, and a Twitch streamer. And I mainly focus on discourse, training, and quantum theory, indigenous issues. And I'm promoting civil discourse, trying to improve Twitch climate. I want climate change for Twitch.
Changing the culture of any large entity is always a slog, and we greatly appreciate you trying to do that by hosting your panels and debates, which I have participated in, and it's been a lot of fun. So that's for anybody that might not know, there is it is kind of loose Oxford / South African style, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Style of
South
debate,
African world debate style, right?
Where panels basically have to take on a topic for or against, but avoiding using personal pronouns like I, you, we, and trying to depersonalize the conversation in order to get to the point of the matter rather than the person making the point.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Demick had to watch an ad. Yes, we are still affiliated with Twitch, which means we do get a little bit of ad money. However, that is going to go away soon because we're going to get rid of our affiliate status and go on to trying to pay for our venture with just donations. That will happen probably 2 or 3 weeks, more than likely. But yeah.
Wow.
So, Universal Ghost Sword, thank you again. Welcome to the show. So, what do you guys want to talk about first with the news that's happened in this past week? We have things such as the second impeachment. We have the ever-growing short sell of GameStop and what that entails. And we have the continued fallout from the Capitol riots and, of course, Biden's executive orders. So, what do you guys want to talk about first? Any and everything is welcome.
I'll leave it up to.
Fine with whatever.
Oh, we're following each other now. Biden's executive orders took me by surprise.
Which one particularly?
From the very first one, even Keystone.
Keystone Pipeline. Him putting the kibosh on that. Is that because you were expecting it to be kind of business as usual, or were you kind of surprised because indigenous people's issues were actually listened to?
I actually expected that, since I felt like Biden was there just to push Trump out, that absolutely nothing would get done whatsoever, and that it would be weeks before we ever started to see the first sign of any kind of executive authority. So I was completely shocked. But then to stop it after whatever we have been through with Dapple and Kinder Morgan, and he stopped it. And it made me so angry. Why couldn't that have been done before? But no, I absolutely didn't expect that to be his first act. I didn't expect him to be doing anything. I thought they were going to be doing a scramble. And here he's cutting EO, you know?
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm
that
sorry.
makes a lot
I
of
mean,
sense.
I felt, I misgauged the whole situation. And now I'm actually terribly concerned because now I don't have a handle on anything. That's what. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what do you mean you don't have a handle on anything? Is it because it took you by such surprise that you're now like, I have no idea what's going to happen?
We've spent months predicting what's a Biden presidency going to be like. I'm not wrong most of the time in my field. I'm not supposed to be, and I was completely wrong. And
Gotcha.
now I don't know what. Yeah, now I'm like, wait. I want to be ahead of him, and I'm like, I don't know where he's coming from now.
No, that
What's
makes a lot of
Sorry.
sense on that.
I'm
Sorry, I
not
didn't
used to
mean to
being
talk
that
over you.
wrong. No, that's fine. You can tell I'm not used to being wrong. I'm not supposed to be.
As a fellow analyst kind of person, I completely understand where you're coming from. That Universal, our jobs are to know what the unknown and to predict what is the unpredictable. And when you get that kind of wrong, it kind of puts you through a loop. And so I understand completely exactly where you're coming from. It seems my camera got disconnected, but I'm going to reconnect that. Mateo, what about you? Has anything surprised you about Biden's executive orders? Can't hear you, buddy.
The Keystone thing actually did surprise me. I didn't think he was really going to bother with that because he's very, very, I guess, centrist, we'll call it. Like he wants to do a lot of the healing. He doesn't want to pick up on a lot of like hot topics, like a lot of really divisive issues, and this is one of them. But the only reason I could think of that is he's like trying to like extend an olive branch out to like the progressive left or whatever they call them, because he wants to get that type of unity within the party. And this is an easy one because it's already not popular among Democrats, and it's definitely not popular among further left people who care a lot more about the environment.
Yep.
So I feel like it was just get it out of the way at the beginning, let people know that he's trying to work with them, and move on. I just didn't think he was going to do it.
It also kind of piggybacks off of our commitments to the Paris Climate Accord. So it kind of handles multiple angles with that. Like you said, the progressives and showing that he can do stuff that he said he was going to do, as well as give commitment to Paris, because without the pipeline, the anticipation is that there's less refining of oil going to happen within the United States, and therefore help reduce the United States greenhouse gas emissions.
How much less is going to be refined, though? That oil's getting refined and transported with or without the Keystone upgrade.
Yeah.
The Keystone pipe already goes through it. We're just talking about the XL one that shortens it. It cuts through a different area of land, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but with
I don't think it's really an environmental stance.
I would say the anticipation, though, there is that it will make it more expensive, and therefore they will cut production down or otherwise slow it.
That's negligible.
Sure.
No,
but
it's not going to do any of that.
I don't think it's an environmental stance either. When I looked into how it was all interconnected, what I had wanted was somebody in office with a super strong foreign policy, because that dictates local domestic policy. We can't do much if we've got all that going on around us. And when he shut that down that way and more or less told Alberta, which is where the man camps are coming from, for one, and all the corporate investments in there, just to, no, you're done. And then he turned around and is pushing, clearly it's all pushing toward green energy. But I mean, how strategic is that when we just looked at Yemen? His Yemen thing gave me that was the linchpin of it. That's what he's after. And again, I thought he had no good foreign policy, but he's doing exactly the best decisions. Defund Saudi's effort in Yemen, shut down that Keystone pipeline, right? Make Canada wait. You know what I mean? He's like literally securing borders, pulling back, you see, and going toward green energy, not because he cares about the environment, but you're a Pax Americana. Your only advantage as a Pax is to be the first to launch green energy. That's your only. I think he's doing it from you say centrist, but from a nationalist strategy. Every move he's making is what a Pax would make.
Yeah,
and
true.
Fast. But that's because I spent so much dealing with Middle East and stuff. So I don't. Is that good? I mean, cut those stimulus checks. I don't know. Take care of us, and then we'll see if it's good. But I don't think it's because he's all for environment, but rejoining us into the global stage. put us at the climate accords, get us back very active in NATO, get us back at the UN. Then he's got to deal with COVID. I guess that's his next big hurdle. What do you
I
guys
think
think?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, if he's pulling back with Saudis, I haven't been following politics as much as I used to, so I'm not too clear on it. But that's a good thing. I mean, I'm fine with us helping them as an ally, but they've clearly, like, just the way they've used their weapons, it's like, how are we going to be able to side with them on that? It's just going to make us look like horrible, horrible people. They fucked up, and we should just be like, all right, fuck you then.
How are they going to use our weapons?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. Why are we even over there? Why are we over there?
Trump wanted to help Saudi Arabia and be really liked by bin Salman.
Jesus Christ.
Because if you look at before this, we had not a bad relationship with Saudi Arabia, but it wasn't really great. Obama was,
they don't need us, okay?
Saudis?
They do want something, though. This is what perplexes me. Exactly what they do want. And I understand that what they want is they want us not to intervene. That's what they want. And I'm like, when have we ever just marched into Saudi and said we're going to do it this way? So I'm a bit disturbed.
There's a lot of Salafis over there, I think, that really just
Salafi?
Yeah, have a lot of disdain for like the West, or not even disdain, maybe just mistrust. So they see us like, I think even as far back, and that's the Holy Land to them. So how much worse could it be? Mm-hmm. Like even when we were invited in there by the Saudis, Osama bin Laden swore vengeance against us for going to the Holy Land.
Right? How dare you invade the Holy Land with women?
Yeah.
You infidel.
Well,
that's exactly what it was like that for a big bit of it.
The prince made a bad choice when he brought these soldiers with they still had combat detritus on their boots, and he walked them into Mecca. That's what set him off, bin Laden off.
Yep.
Actually, many people were kind of disgusted by that. So that prince, I think, made a fatal decision. He underestimated bin Laden's power, influence, and fanaticism.
Definitely, yeah. He underestimated like how much he'd even just care about it. Probably this guy was trying to stave off Saddam, and he just basically got blown off. Like he wanted to help in everything. So
and he did. He succeeded. But the U.S. military intelligence was terrified of his influence. They saw him as a messiah.
Oh, bin Laden?
His men followed him like, yeah. And you got to remember, he was 18, 19 years old.
And he came, like, he could show up to a camp with a bunch of construction equipment and make it look like we're going to move Earth. And everyone's like, who is this guy? Or if they might have already known about him then, but just being able to come in and bring those types of resources to them, you're going to cement your celebrity.
Well, look at his father. He knew America had him assassinated. Bin Laden wasn't some Bedouin.
No, he was definitely, his dad was a very important engineer. Built the
whole family's got a big construction business. That's what I was talking about. He shows up with all those resources to any kind of camp. He's like, he's pretty much bringing anything the West says they could bring, or at least in their eyes.
That's it. He was a traditionalist, and as and his father knew it, and he was a deeply religious, which most of his family were quite modern. Bin Laden was quite religious, and he had his father's eye. He was respected by everyone. At 12, he could hold court. He was literally like a little Jesus. And his family resources were accorded to him because he was the rightful heir to the empire of, right? I mean, his father wasn't just a guy who went to college and got a job. The wealth that they had and the influence and the power, the people that would come just to stop in. And bin Laden grew up with them. Intelligence agents, world leaders, major celebrities. He grew up in the house with them, listened to everything. Jeez, and then when he got his army and he wanted to impress the prince, I commit my army, my services to you. And under U.S. influence, it was no. He turned the U.S. did not want bin Laden rising into the kind of power they knew he was capable of.
Yep. And
I
this
don't want
isn't-
to. I don't want to go down Kool-Aid Alley with what my experience in the military was, but I can attest to that definitively. If you have any doubts, expel them. They were absolutely wanting him dead at the age of 19. They knew what was going to happen, and they missed because someone tipped him off. So, shit. You got to pay for it. Anyway. Pulling out of Saudi, I was so thrilled. But I'm still reeling from Keystone. But I think I see what he's doing. This time, I hope I'm right. Because if I'm right, I know what he's doing is what should have been done, 4 years ago. I see. Well, you have terrorism in the Middle East, and the Saudis. This is impenetrable fortress, Iran, impenetrable Russia, and there are cracks all in that. That's all crumbling too. So he's creating a bulwark for the United States. I think very much as a nationalist, but in this transition or flux, that's what you do. You batten down the hatches. But to come in with so much soupy, this land is your land, BS rhetoric, I was like, oh, please. And you made J-Lo sing that? To come in with this God bless America, what are you doing? Do you know, two things that struck me about the inauguration, I have to get it off my chest, was that everybody was so relieved because there was not one Trump in sight. And look at the difference in them. They were. It was like Christmas. And
it's a good feeling.
the rhetoric, standing there with clearly a divided America, fractured, trying to pull that old flag with its old lie for the upper middle class that's it. And then third, the constant one nation under God and the religious rhetoric undermined it all. I feel bad for that poor preacher.
Yeah, chanting hymns and crap like that is, I understand. I guess it's
offensive.
Probably necessary. Yeah, it's offensive to me. It insults my intelligence. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of unifying feature to it that I don't want to call people stupid. I mean, I do, but I don't want to, just so I can make a good point. I think a lot of people, it's almost like, it's like something it's like the God-shaped hole in their hearts needs to be filled with at least the state, and they know they could do that if you just make them chant about it enough.
Well, I mean, we have to acknowledge that Biden is also deeply religious himself. He is a practicing Catholic, and so this isn't necessarily outside the norms for him particularly. And within the United States, we are still predominantly religious, even though religious participation is declining. I believe Pew Research still says that people are at least 70% of the population is still at least nominally Christian, going to church at least once Sunday a month.
Okay, well, this is a nation.
Not statism, but
did any of us really expect to tune in and join in fellowship? I mean, what? And it was all good up until that, and I went, that's it. Click.
No,
it's pageantry.
I get faith,
pageantry,
but not from the president. Separation of church and state, not from him. I don't want to hear it from him.
I'm not going to complain about it, but I get what you're saying.
No. It was to me, it was kind of touching, but it still shows that he wasn't aware of the vast demographic of people for whom either there is no God or it's an entirely different construct.
No, for sure. So
now I'm kind of worried.
No, I don't think you need to get worried in that sense. It's still the Democratic Party is still fairly secular, even though if there's this homage to religiosity. I think one of the things that we should talk about.
You don't have anything to worry about unless you're boycotting Israel.
We can talk about that.
There's nothing. Democrats won't stop you.
What do you think his policy on Israel will be? Because I'm not sure I want to touch it.
Well,
I'm
his
listening.
policy
Oh,
on
I think
Israel is
Chuck
going to be
Schumer's going to give him a lot of stuff. Chuck Schumer's going to give him a lot of suggestions, and they're going to be really stupid. And Biden's going to end up going with
No.
some of them because he wants
No.
unity, and he could be like,
No.
"Oh, the Democrats."
I hope
No?
not.
what
What?
No.
is
Oh, I was about to say because Chuck Schumer has some pretty bad ideas.
Cypher, what you're brilliant. I sat with you talking about that. What do you think? I've got to know. I'm tired of
I
being
think we'll
wrong.
see stereotypical, I guess placation of the Israel relations with Palestine. I do think that Democrats
Okay.
still want to see a two-state solution, but I think the two-state solution is practically dead at this point. And so it's going to be a rude awakening for people to think that the two-state solution is still possible. He is not going to remove the embassy from
Israel.
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
But I could see, and this is what I was hoping Trump would do if they were actually trying to push peace in the Middle East, is putting a Palestinian embassy inside the same building in a different office. Now, that's probably dangerous, but I think that's what should have happened because that would have
Yeah, I was going to say
cemented
that.
the U.S.'s interest in having a two-state solution.
I think he's going to go and make progress, and then he's going to finally have to deal with what is your take on, what is your stance with Israel, and it's like our buddy's saying, he's just going to take some bad advice, and it's all going to go south, and that's going to wreck his whole term. I mean,
Considering,
U.S. usually we're friends, we're staying out of
Yeah.
it, and I'm like, you'd probably better stay out of it.
Yeah, no, that's probably true too. But given that the kingdom, Saudi Arabia, has basically abandoned the Palestinians, and Iran doesn't have the capacity to continue funding Hamas, I see this as an issue that will probably come to an end badly in probably another 30 years.
And then the U.S. will be guilty of, like Yemen, of allowing them to
Yeah,
expire.
probably.
No,
But
see, they got to do something. See, that's the bad. You have to do something, but anything you do is the wrong thing to do.
I would personally like to see just a secular, or actually not even secular, because even though Israel is a Jewish state, it's secular-ish. So I'll say a non-ethno state. I would like to see pluralistic democracy and the Palestinians be given full and equal rights within the
I mean, if
single
it's
state.
an ethno state based on being Jewish, I would say that's pretty.
A lot of Jewish people aren't
Crosses the
practicing
line.
Judaism. That's why I didn't want to call it a
Should we call them Israeli?
no,
That's
because
different.
I wouldn't call them Jews. I mean, I guess people do, so I would for this expediency. But if I want to be technical,
here's the difference, right? So, because of Israel's unique
do they want to be called
position-
Jews?
Was that?
Sorry, I kind of interrupted, but I'm curious. It just popped in my head. Do they want to be called Jews?
Yes.
Like,
so
if
that's
you
what I was getting-
call like a secular Israeli a Jewish person, is he going to be like, "Whoa, hey, buddy," or is he just going to be like, "Yeah"? I don't know. I'm asking.
Here's the problem, and I don't know if it is a problem. So, anyways, the thing is that Israel still allows any single Jewish person in the world to immigrate if they can prove their Jewish heritage based on ethnicity, not necessarily religion. Then they will be given Israeli citizenship. So it's still a state for the Jewish people, by the Jewish people, at the expense of the Palestinian people. So that's why I don't want to call it religious, because you don't have to necessarily be a practicing Jewish person to the religion of Judaism. You don't have to be practicing that. You just have to be Jewish to be given the right of return, which is what they call it. So there's all sorts of problems with that. One, it completely eliminates the ability for Palestinians displaced by the 6-Day War and the 1940. They're different, right? The 1948 war is not the 6-Day War. 6-Day War was afterwards, right? Regardless, the two big wars that happened displaced a massive amount of Palestinians, and there's currently more Palestinians in exile in Jordan and Lebanon and one other country, the three countries that basically surround Israel, than there are inside Israel because of how long they've been basically in exile, and they've had their property taken from them after the war. That's what is often the case. Land keeps being taken away. They basically, the newest settlement basically eliminates the ability to have one continuous border, one continuous territory within Israel to have a Palestinian state. So the issue is very complicated. And I think the complication could be solved by saying everybody is just an Israeli citizen. Here's your equal rights. But that's not what the Israeli Jews want for the most part, because they're worried that if Arabs are given full autonomy, because they call them Arabs, they don't call them Palestinians, they're given full autonomy, they will just vote with their people and eliminate Jewish people from the area. Can't hear you, Mateo.
I feel like if you ask an Israeli, they would say, no, they already have equal rights.
Yeah,
like, no, man, it's already here. Everything's fine.
They would say that about the 15 or 20% or so that have Israeli citizenship, but even then they don't. There's certain things that they get favor or given favor to. Also, the fact is that they're still harassed as if they're living in the West Bank or the Gaza Strip. So,
yeah, that
especially
what was
if they
that?
have family, they have to move back to see back and forth in those two areas, which often they do.
Yeah, that man lost his house that he built.
Yeah.
And
there was an Intelligence Squared debate that I watched recently. It was done last January, I want to say. And it was between Brett Stevens, a Israeli member of parliament, and two Palestinians. I cannot remember their names because I only heard them once. But if you look up Intelligence Squared, is anti-Zionism the new anti-Semitism? You'll be able to watch the debate and you'll see the issues that are present within this conversation, especially with Brett Stevens' bad takes. They essentially danced around the issue of the ethno-nationalism that exists in Israel and the fear that Jewish people have of Arabs being given full autonomy.
Because that would be the new anti-Semitism. So, of course, they didn't.
Of course.
The Arabs being given autonomy would be, yeah. These are 6,000-year-old rivals.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I thought the planet was only 6,000 years old.
Right, exactly. It began with them. Didn't you read the book? Okay, I read the book. Okay. You didn't read the book. You skipped it on Bible study. I bet you did. You cut class. No. Yeah.
This is post-Abel.
No, it was Ham, right? Okay, I'm done.
Ham, yeah, right. Where are the watchers? Let's ask them.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's wait. We're still on Enoch and Methuselah. We'll wait around for Jesus Christ. It's gonna take a minute, you know.
I feel like no one watching this will get our jokes, but
no, who cares? 6,000 years.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see much has changed.
The flood went away.
It'll be back. It's coming. It's just taking a while. It's a little slow in the uptake, you know. Islands are sinking.
Caps.
Reefs are bleaching. It's happening. It's all happening, you know. Yeah, there's the ice cap waiting to. But I just think about the United States' position in all of this. What a mess the U.S. has a habit of leaving.
And we were, like we said about the 90s, and this is a point that I think needs to be brought up since we talked about it with the 90s and American troops being invited into the Holy Land, the Muslim Holy Land. That just got expanded. The kingdom has allowed more U.S. troops to use their training facilities and set up, I think, another base entirely. Don't quote me on the base thing, but I do know that they've allowed an increase in troop presence. What are your thoughts about that?
My guess is now that Biden's going to be president, they're like, hey, look at all this stuff we'll give you. Please don't leave. Because having America stand behind you is real clout in the Middle East. Like, the only one who could even give you a little bit of, like, resistance would be, like, Iran. And that's not even,
And let's be real. Christian Zionists want Iran to go away. So that's another problem.
It's not likely. But I think he's right. I know the way Saudi shifts and makes these sort of concessions, and they want us being behind them is not us necessarily showing up with things. It's us not interfering the way we attempted to do in Syria or did in Iraq. It's just like, if you're going to if you're going to be a tanky, do it in someone else's space and leave us alone. We have to commit genocide in Yemen right now. We'll get back to you. Yeah, rub the globe. You know, that's how they are.
Yep.
That's how they always been. It's because they've always had wealth and power. They're the center of the universe in their world, and nearly that entire area. So Al Jazeera journalists used to talk about, between Iran and Saudi, it was when they wanted done, they just waved their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, you have two world powers. We just don't see them as world powers. That's probably a mistake. If you're going to be diplomatic, you got to understand their perspective, same as China, especially these ancient civilizations. Middle East and China, I mean, they've never kind of not been in power. They don't know what it is not to be in power.
There's a brief period where Western Europe, and then I guess by extension the U.S. took over, but that's going back. Seems like it's reverting. Or at least in Asia. I don't know if the Middle East isn't doing so hot right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the troop presence and the access to additional airfields and stuff is all to counter Iran. Over the last 8 months or so, there has been an additional 20,000 U.S. troops stationed into the Middle East in order to deal with Iranian issues. And
I'm surprised they stopped calling it ISIS.
Oh, there you go.
They're just admitting it now. They're like, yeah, we're going after Iran.
Oh man, that's funny.
I noticed that, which is sitting in Kingfisher's panels with the articles. I mean, and people are like, meh, they swiped some direction and there is no more. It's like, meh. I'm like, no, because if we get, of all nations, for the U.S. to go get cockbally with, is Iran. I'm like,
well,
and especially we had them pretty much calm, ready to join that agreement, even if you think they were going to break the rules, it's still something. It's something to at least say, hey, we can hold you accountable now and take back whatever concessions we gave. It was a way to try to control them at least. Mm-hmm. And
we didn't get the missiles, so obviously it wasn't enough, because Iran could still hit Israel with throwing a rock.
Yeah. Yeah, a rocket launcher. Ha ha ha. Ooh, big rock. It could do whatsoever it wants. Although Iran is kind of not. That's sort of not their style. They don't want to come off looking like North Korea.
Yeah.
They don't.
Not at least since Ahmadinejad gone. After he left, and
blast from the past.
Hey, you gotta make those references when you can.
Well,
how else am I supposed to show that I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about?
He does. I know, because I got to listen to him.
Do you have something else you want to add, Uni?
I think Biden has. I'm gonna forget who's called what. You get intel as an incoming president, but he was there for 8 years with Obama.
Yeah.
Right. He's in the know on all of that. And then when it came time to try to wrestle Trump out of there, It seems to me that he stepped up fully informed on a bunch of things. Like I said, I'm like, great, he'll handle this. But then I'm like, well, what does he really know? And what other actions is he going to have to take based on literally 12 years of intelligence gathering that he would have had access to that nobody else knows about? Now, what's this all going to look like? And are these extremists, or whatever they're called, every time he makes a decision, are they the new GOP or something? Are they the boots on the ground for the GOP?
Are we talking about Q people?
That whoever those people were, that they're gonna pull this every time he makes a decision they don't understand, which is gonna be every decision, by the way. How's he gonna contain that and do? Because I have no, like I said, I have no idea what's happening. I think I know. I do not know what he's gonna do.
Unless the Q people are convinced that, actually Trump is the one pulling the strings, as some Reddit person was trying to convince others.
Face off. It's really Biden's not Biden. It's really Trump. So go ahead and go along with everything. And I'm like, did you?
Hey, whatever works.
Nice try.
Unironically,
somebody
someone
put
was
it
saying
on.
that?
Somebody. It was a joke. I'm sure it
Face
is.
off.
Oh, okay.
It was a liberal
That I can excuse.
trolling people on 4chan, because that's what some of the liberals decided to do after Trump lost. But somebody's like,
it's all good
it's actually
fun.
face off, guys. Biden's actually in prison.
Oh,
But yeah.
somebody believes it today. Somebody right now believes it, though. I guarantee it.
Whatever
Oh my god.
works, honestly. But to your point, and I think this is something that we can talk about, is what is becoming of the GOP after Trump. Are we seeing a return to, I guess, whatever the GOP was during Obama, or are we seeing a further devolution of the GOP into more?
We've been seeing a continuation of the Obama GOP. What we have now is just more of it. Like the Trump presidency,
okay.
that's
so
like
what you're saying is
triumph of the Tea Party.
Gotcha. So what you're saying, this is a natural evolution of the Tea Party going to what?
We're still in it. Yeah, that's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's not like there's no going back to them, because that's where we're stuck right now.
So
Like
maybe
you'd
I
have to
should
go back
say-
to like the Bush administration.
That's what I was gonna say. Bush administration. Then I can agree with you there. Do you think that's gonna is that possible then, or do you think it's they jumped the shark and
No.
we're fucked?
What? That you could get an actual Republican party again?
And a Burkean
No, not since the
conservative.
Dixiecrats took over in '65. I mean, that was the plan.
Bill Clinton's
Dixiecrats.
triangulation is actually extremely successful when you think about it.
Yep.
Like he took the Democrats from the old Keynesians, what people stereotype them as to this day, and he basically brought them closer to, people don't like this word, neoliberals. If we were doing half of the stuff we were doing, or what Obama did back in like the 80s, it would be rightfully called neoliberal if it was Reagan doing it. I had something else that I was going to get into, but I kind of forget. So, yeah.
So is conservatism dead then? Like the kind of conservatism that we all grew up with and came to know. Everybody on this panel is in their 30s, correct? Or older.
No, we're 12. We it's mask off.
But
That's actually my point. Yeah, the old conservative is getting like absorbed. What's being left is more of the extreme rightists when you think about it. Like if you look at like Biden's not a righty. I'm not going to say he's a righty, but when you look at what the Democrats have been really trying to push towards since Obama, it seems almost like a reversion.
okay.
So I think they're making a bigger tent. It's actually prudent. It's smart. It's not like they're just like these assholes and they're becoming right wingers or something. There's actually a strategy behind it as far as politics goes. But that's leaving us with just the bottom of the barrel righties. And I think that's where we're going to go, because they're siloed now. They have nothing else to do but promote them.
So what does that mean for progressives and extreme left-leaning people in general? If the Democratic
They'll probably
Party,
be upset because they're
Well,
not
they're
as
gonna be
necessary.
upset.
If you get Republicans to support you in legislation, you don't need to like scrape for the Democrat or the far leftists to really
Right.
help you out. Like the AOC, if AOC is giving someone like Pelosi trouble, she could just negotiate with some like moderate Republicans instead of having to rely on them so much.
but do those people exist anymore?
Well, yeah, some of them are basically Democrats.
So this is what I'm getting at. So if
But
we
my point
have-
was that mostly they're not around is actually.
yeah.
So yeah, they're mostly not around. There will be some of them, but like I said, they've been absorbed kind of. So you're just going to have to lean more moderate. Like if we look at the blue wave, that wasn't the far leftist like uprising that everyone wanted it to be in 2018. There was a lot of moderates and then like 4 progressives. It's gotten better since then, of course. Now we have more. I don't know all their names and I wouldn't be able to name them. But I just don't think they're going to need it as much. I think the Democrats are a lot more conservative than even the Democrats from Carter. Like, it's crazy. It's not the party that they're stereotyped as by their enemies or themselves. Like, they sell themselves as something more left than what they are, and same thing with the right wingers. And meanwhile, it's like, if you've ever seen that meme, it's like what my mom thinks, what my friends think, what the public thinks, and then what I really am. It's like the Democrats would just be like a picture of George Bush when it's like what I really am. They're so enthusiastic about Hillary, and Hillary is basically like Henry Kissinger. Like these days, if you look at their foreign policy, I don't think you're going to find any difference in agreement there. But yeah, it just doesn't bode well for the left. There's probably another point in there, but I'm rambling and I'm kind of forgetting.
So do we think that the people that make up the barely amount of people that make up Never Trumpers, like Stephen Schmidt, that's who I couldn't think of. Do we think that people like Stephen Schmidt or Bill Kristol, Bill Kristol,
well, Schmidt's a Democrat now, isn't he?
Was that?
I think Schmidt's a Democrat now, right?
I think so. Is he? I can't remember.
So that would be a real world example of what I'm talking about. It's like the slow like absorption. Trump sped it up, of course, because he's ungodly. Not ungodly. He's just so dumb.
Yeah.
But I think we were headed there anyway.
Glasses?
I don't think so. I haven't seen him in a while. Oh, you might be talking about the guy from the circus. They look the same. They both look like a potato. One just has glasses.
But so one of the Never Trumpers, he has a black adopted daughter, and I just can't remember his name for the life of me. And when he
what daughter?
Say again.
A what daughter?
A black adopted daughter.
Oh, black adopted.
I heard black ops.
Oh,
okay.
That's what I thought I heard. I was like,
yeah,
here we go. Co-Intel Pro. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Go.
But so when he voiced displeasure with Trump and what Trump represented, she ended up they threatened his daughter. So do we think people like him, Steve Schmidt, Billy Crystal, or Bill Crystal, not Billy Crystal, do we think these are people that are going to become more liberal with their transition to the Democratic Party, or do we think these people are going to try to retch the Democratic Party more rightward?
No, because you're going to have a lot of like Anna Navarro's in there who are basically already there, but they just like to say I'm a Republican because they work with Republicans.
Okay.
So I think it's just going to be a lot smoother than anything like that. They're just basically there already, for better or for worse.
I mean, I hope they realize they have so many. I mean, what this guy was, it's basically treason. It's sedition at the highest level. It's treason. And any of his supporters marching in there with them, ridiculous. And then we looked at the Congresswoman, Green, chasing the...
That was a Congresswoman? Were you
Yeah.
talking about David Hogg?
Yeah.
Chasing,
that was
oh my
before she
God, that was a
Congress.
Congress? It doesn't matter, man.
Okay.
That was weird.
She is now, right?
You know the lady that wore the like Trump mask, and she brought impeachment articles for
Pelosi.
Biden. That's him.
What a
That's
fool.
her. I mean, so
Yeah. No, I
Trump
know who
mask,
it is. I just didn't realize that was her because I
Yeah.
saw that video. I didn't realize that was her in the video chasing Hogg. What an
So
idiot.
I mean,
that's why
what
it's
did
viral again because they're like, oh, this person's in Congress now.
what are these people even doing? I mean, I know how they got in, but I mean, it's no longer a Democratic Party. It's no longer bipartisan.
No, so
we need to probably end that whole thing anyway.
What I see this as is a very reactionary movement towards the cultural progress that's accelerated because of the internet over the last 10 years, 11 years, we'll say, for instance, 2010.
20.
20 years as well. But I like to say Oberfell is
Decade.
the watershed moment. That was when, because as soon as that passed, everybody's like, oh, gay marriage is fine now. Not everybody, but like it went from like 30% acceptance to like 67% acceptance in a course of like 5 years. Like it was like quick of the amount of.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, what are your arguments against it? You know, people just have to give up. You know, even if they are like uncomfortable with gay marriage, like you're not. It's gonna be hard to find any good argument against it. So they just might as well accept it.
But there's the people that aren't, the 40% or so that are of people that still don't accept gay marriage, are also not accepting of President Obama, are also accepting of trans issues, are not also accepting of
well, a lot of people don't accept gay marriage. Probably, is if we look at like California with what was it, Prop 8, a lot of those people would fall under a demographic that we don't associate with being anti-Obama.
And now, Trump expanded his base with black people from 6% to 13% among black males.
Did he? Oh, I thought that was like disputed.
It was in dispute. The numbers were adjusted.
It just hadn't come out yet. Okay.
Yeah, so I was fully disputing those, because what had happened is that they were doing exit polling, and exit polling is only as good as the people that you're asking at the polls, and it hadn't been adjusted yet. What I hadn't known at the time is that the major exit poller also interviewed people by phone the day of the election and asked them who they voted for and why they voted a certain way. I wasn't aware that they did that. They got some of the people that early voted and that sort of thing. The numbers adjusted slightly downward, but not enough to be like there wasn't a increase among it all. So there was definitely a fairly substantial increase, still a minority, but a bigger minority than any Republican president has had in modern history. So Trump did increase his vote share. He had like, I think it was 6% or so, or no, it was very low in 2016. It was something like 6%, and then it went up to, among black men, it went up to about 13%. So it was a pretty big increase. Latinos as well.
Was saying that it's gay marriage, this watershed moment. That is actually, we had a discussion last night when I was training some members of my debate team, and the designated downer, and he said, I don't think championing rights is radical. I think withholding them is radical. And I was like, wow. Yeah. And in terms of, gay rights, that would have been a massive shift in social consciousness. A massive fundamental shift in social consciousness. All of the narrative from transgendered people. Massive shift in social consciousness in less than 10 years. It had been there, but it was the status quo had the fences up around it, and all that's gone. And so I think you're right. All that led into that, and a lot of uncivil discourse, and then just corruption and infighting in the government, and the mice will play when the cat's away. People will start to say, well, you're not paying us any attention, so we're just going to take matters into our own hands, and we're just going to do what we want, and you can't do anything about it, kind of thing. Just to remind the government that we, the people, and 40% of people, it's a statistic, but if you look at most people, I mean, there's never been a decade in anyone's life in the history of this world where gay people could get married.
Yeah.
It's that new of an idea. But it's like Downer had said, well, it's radical to think you could take or give someone rights in the first place. So this granting of, yes, you can have your union, just shows really how homophobic
Yeah.
America really is. I think that's what I'm trying to say. That they're very homophobic, totally sexist, totally racist, totally ableist, totally homophobic. That the people that go, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's vote for this and have them go ahead and get married. Like they did in Australia with the referendum. There was no real social movement for this. It was the whole gay community had to do it on their own. On their own for decades, ever since age, 50 years?
Yep.
50 years. 50 years, And when the decision was go ahead and let him have it, I think it was Obama celebrating that. It was, let's put this to rest, at least.
Well, even Obama at the
One
time
less
was for
problem.
civil unions rather than gay marriage. So even
so
and we'll be real, it was a political decision there. I don't think he really cared
Of course.
for the other, but at the time, we're talking 2008, people were still like, no, that's a religious institution. You can't call it marriage. Marriage is mine.
Well, it popped the. You know what it did? It exposed these sort of. I don't know what you'd call them. Traditional Americans.
I would say religiously traditionalist. Yeah.
Well, not even religious. Just what would you call
religion
it? Orthodox. Is there
part of it though?
Well,
I would say culturally normal, if that works.
Yeah.
This status
We'll say
quo of
culturally
kind of
traditional.
yeah, but it was thought that the 90s and the Cold War ended and everybody was moving forward and on, and that wasn't the case. I was like, no. There's a lot of conservative, sort of nationalistic Americans who had these sort of orthodox ideas,
right,
about the way things. Very binary. Very binary. Very. I don't even know the word. Trope-like, stereotypical.
Cliche, banal.
Yeah.
Cliche. From the 50s and 60s. Yeah, the fathers knows best type Americans.
Oh yeah.
What's that called?
I don't want to put it all just on culture, at least with the increase among minority communities. I think part of that has to do with the economy. There was an increase, and this was something that if you looked at the numbers during Obama, you would see that, okay, the economy is going to get better. Trump is going to inherit a pretty good economy. It's going to continue to go up as long as nothing undue happens, right?
As long as he's not the president, yeah, it'll continue to go up.
as long as he doesn't do anything to fuck it up, basically.
Speaking of GameStop, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after I make this point. Mateo's got a lot to say, but
good.
But it's the same thing that happened, kind of with Bush getting blamed for the recession happened in 2001. People blame or give credit to the president for the economy that they have while they're president, regardless of the factors that are at play beforehand. It's just the way people are.
I don't know about that. I remember hearing for 6 years that we're still recovering from Bush's recession.
Yeah, I know.
Bush gave us this. It's like, and then when Trump's out of Obama, I mean,
is what I should say. So people that are partisan will give credit or blame to the person that they're partisan for. But generally speaking, with people that aren't as partisan, they'll tend to give credit or blame to the president that's currently sitting for the economy that they have underneath them, generally speaking. So it's like a lot of misattribution there. So what is it? Reagan came in and he got a lot of credit for the economy and stopping inflation. But he didn't do that. That happened under Carter. Carter got Volcker in. Volcker broke inflation. Broke inflation by instituting high interest rates. Plus, Saudi Arabia and the oil crisis ended. So that put downward pressure on inflation. And so Reagan inherited, and a lot of people are like, Reagan's trickle down economics works.
Yeah.
20 years later, we're like, oh no, trickle down economics is shit. It doesn't actually work. But
a lot of that ties into what I was saying about Clinton's triangulating, because Reaganism was so popular at the time, they almost had to. It was politically expedient to be like, oh, I'm not one of those lefty liberals. I'm the new Democrat, And I mean, it just turned out to be so successful that now, basically, the Democrats are like, yeah, we need free trade deals. We got to intervene in the Middle East, and let's cut some taxes. Well, actually, not the taxes so much.
Right. The taxes need to go up.
But just about everything you could attribute to that, yeah. It's weird how it changed so much.
Yeah. And one final point, like another thing with misattribution errors, did you see it with people blaming or giving credit to Giuliani for completely dismantling crime in New York? Now, he does deserve some credit for helping police up New York to an extent, especially Times Square, because that was
I think
him.
he was kind of obsessive about that whole organized crime shit.
He was.
Do you live there?
Mateo is from New York, but I don't live in New York.
Yeah, I was one of the towns that he sent all the homeless people when he
There it is. There it is. That's what I was going to ask.
That's what I was going to get on to. So
okay, I was just saying.
Yeah. But like, he did help take on the mob. He did help clean up Times Square. But at the same time, if you look at other cities that have similar populations, had similar demographics, socioeconomics, in size, that didn't institute zero tolerance policing, they too saw a similar decrease in crime. So you can't say that it's all.
Well, if you're talking about the 5 families of New York, that's the snake's head. So even if it happened in the States,
I'm not talking about organized crime. I'm talking crime in general.
Okay.
Crime in general.
Yeah. They're just gonna.
Yeah.
Well,
so, Universal, please go ahead.
Again, I don't like pouring Kool-Aid, but I know what happened with what they cleaned up on Times Square, and they just literally cut a deal and pushed it to the back alley. And as he said, I was the town they sent all their homeless people to, like refugees.
No, I got
Go ahead, bite the big apple. Don't mind the maggots,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, he didn't clean it up. He made a deal because
he just put them in another town.
Well, and then look at Atlantic City, like magically tanks, and I'm like, sure it did. No, come on, And
they were
I wonder
giving
what
people bus passes to go away.
Yes,
like
what is really going on there now? I wonder, but
a lot of bankruptcies.
Some other day. I'd love to hear about it, but I was like, you didn't clean it up. You just swept the trash to somebody else's street.
Yep. And to that point, a lot of liberal cities are repealing laws that make it illegal to be homeless. So Austin, for example, I live in Austin. They got rid of the ordinance that made it illegal to camp in the city. Suddenly, all the homeless people are around. Well, where were they? They were just living in the woods, away from everybody else, in dangerous situations, and they just came to the city. They're like, it wasn't that they just suddenly appeared; they just came out of the shadows, and now they're camping underneath overpasses and that sort of thing. And there's a huge movement in Austin to recriminalize camping because it's dangerous, it looks bad, whatever. And I'm like, why do that? Just like fix the problem. Fix homelessness. Like, why are you spending all this time and energy to like push them away when you could just fix it to a little bit?
Well, homelessness being a problem, being an issue or not, I think a bunch of cities would have it in their best interest to make certain areas like, no, you can't set up a tent here.
Oh yeah.
Like obviously now with the homeless people, it seems it's a problem and you don't want to push them away. But I'm just saying, like, you can at least designate areas for them to sleep, or at least build housing somewhere. Like,
ideally, that's what
the idea of just saying, like, no, it's cool to come in and camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be. I mean, if you're managing a city, that's not exactly a good thing to do. You could probably keep everyone separate because, like, you do care about property values. It sounds stupid to a lot of people, but I mean, you do care because a lot of that is tied to taxes and everything too. So if you just start letting people sleep everywhere, that's going to be a problem. But if you could designate an area where it's not like, 15 miles they have to walk, you don't want it to be a burden on these people and just make their lives worse. I feel like there's a happy medium somewhere. I don't feel like you just need to let them camp in town square.
And I'm not opposed to those sort of things, but in these cities, the options were either repeal the ordinance or keep it. There was no middle ground. So what they did was they decided to repeal the ordinance and make the problem visible. So hopefully people would actually give a shit. And what happened is that people do give a shit. They just want the wrong solution.
They want the easier one, yeah.
Yeah.
They'd rather just tell them to get out.
Yep.
Instead of spend money or anything.
And so Austin is currently looking to get a bond going, approved through city council, where they will buy 2 not abandoned but on the market hotels in order to convert to homeless shelters, providing I think 500 or so.
That's
rooms.
the best thing a government can do is provide housing. It doesn't have to be luxurious. It doesn't have to be great, but warm, keeps you in from the elements. Yeah, just
wraparound services.
Give you something to live in. Like that makes the most sense because it doesn't give you that problem with, like a homeless person sleeping on a bed or peeing in front of, my daughter saw a man peeing on the street. You could take care of that problem without just being a complete shit. I don't know what else.
Yeah.
It should probably be a federal thing just because a lot of states are constrained. They don't have the money. They would have to tax for it. So, I mean, if you could do it federally, I think that would be a lot more workable.
I mean, Utah proved that housing first initiatives work. It's just a matter of funding and having the space for it.
Yeah, it's like a win-win for people. It's better for society because you don't have people sleeping literally on the streets. They could freeze overnight too. I mean, even if you don't know the guy, you don't want to see that. You get so upset. You see a guy who just died because he was cold. Like, A, he wouldn't die, and B, he wouldn't be in front of people dying. It's just, I don't know. I think people are just really short-sighted when it comes to homelessness.
No,
they don't have to step over their bodies on their way to work or school. That's why.
Well, and they also don't want to get hassled for money. Makes people feel bad.
Oh, I don't want to get hassled for money either, but
yeah, that shit sucks.
Because I'm like, stop reminding me that I don't have any, and that I'm 1 week away from being you. And by the way, I need you to give up your bed at the shelter, and I want those socks. Hand over the hygiene kit. It's time for you to
go.
They're gonna
call me cheap. They're gonna be like, "What? You don't got anything?" I'll be like,
"No, dude."
Okay, well, see,
I just own nice clothes.
I want my Christmas turkey, man. Get off,
Give him my hoodie. He'll just be like, "Fuck you, man. I didn't ask for a fucking hoodie. I'm hungry."
All right. I think this is enough of this depressing topic.
That's very depressing. I'm sorry to say. Amy C3 is the one who deals with that on Twitch. If y'all want to stop by and support what she does, because she's tireless in it and very, very sweet.
I'm subscribed to her, actually. I used to watch her a little bit when I was on Twitch more.
Well, tell her I sent you over to say keep up the good work or something.
Cool.
I stream so much I never get a chance. This is the first time I've been able to sit down with people forever.
So we're trying to do this more often. So every week, if you want to come join us, we're more than welcome to have you.
That would be nice. Take a break from deep dark subjects and coaching. It's kind of
yeah, we like to do these news roundups because it's something that you don't have to prepare a lot for. As bad as it is to say that out loud, but everybody on this panel and in our podcast pays attention to the news on a regular basis. So it's more like, let's do a news roundup, talk about our thoughts, and you don't have to put your eyeballs to the screen for 300 pages to research some esoteric topic in order to make sure that you know what you're talking about, like we've done in the past. So on to the next subject. Mateo, I know this is something you've been talking about and want to talk about. Let's talk about Wall Street bets versus the hedge funds. What happened? I know that you were not involved with it. Let me be clear, but you had knowledge of it, being on their Discord and being a Redditor. So what exactly happened with this? Can you give listeners that may not know a breakdown of how this happened, why it happened, and if it's a good thing or not?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Basically, there's an investment community in Reddit called Wall Street Bets. It was an extension of r/investing, which is an actual investing site. It was a legitimate Reddit for investing. And this one user, I forget his name, he actually got kicked off for just pushing gambling. He wasn't talking real stocks. He was pushing these gambles of a stock play, basically YOLOing shit. So they eventually got tired of him, kicked him out, and he made Wall Street Bets. For a long time, it was under the radar. It was small. It was nothing. It was just people talking. They would maybe pump up penny stocks. At one point, Martin Shkreli was a mod. And then, there's a whole bunch of crap that happened. But fast forward till today, and this one guy by the user called Deep Fucking Value was looking at stocks with high short float. And a short float basically means you're borrowing a stock because you think the price will go down. So then when it goes down, you buy what you borrowed back, and then you pocket the difference, and because that's money. So he noticed that an absurd amount of shares were actually being borrowed and then sold to be bought back later. And he realized, like, if you pump into this stock enough, because their shorts break even when the stock goes up at a certain price. And then after it goes above that break even, they lose money consistently as far as it goes up. Yeah. So this guy, Deep Fucking Value, he wrote his thesis on it. He said if we just pump into GameStop, he also believes in the company. He's not like, just committing fraud. He really did believe in the company. He's like, these shorters are wrong. They're going to get destroyed. So he started telling all these people, and a lot of those kids, it's a video game store. So those kids are like, yeah, of course this is going to be the best company ever. Why would it ever go out of business? It's a brick and mortar retailer. Of course it's going out of business. But to them, they're like, they sell the PS5. And I'm not even kidding. This is what they would tell you. They'd be like, they sell the PS5, bro. And they just go like on a rant about how stupid you are for even doubting it.
Collectibles, man.
Yeah. So they pump the price up, and every time there's a certain point where shorts have to get out. But if the price keeps going up, they want to get out at a lower price. So then they're trying to get out lower and lower, and there's a bunch of other shorters trying to get out, and it creates a bidding war where they're all bidding for a tiny amount of shares that are even available to them. And that sends the price skyrocketing. Like, so you'll see it 100% in a day. I think it's up like 1900% or something like in 2021. It's insane. And it's just because they can't get the right price, and they got to get out eventually. Otherwise, because you could lose infinity when you're shorting a stock. It can keep going up forever. So they got to cut it eventually. And that just creates this panic buying. And that's basically where we're at right now. There are other shorts too. Everyone, once they heard about GameStop, they moved on to the other shorts. But today it was really crazy because I think the SEC got involved. Reddit actually banned the group or made it private for a little bit. Discord banned their server. And that's really where you found most of the stock talk and everything was in their Discord server. And I think they're back. I think they created a new one, but who knows how long that's going to last, because a lot of these people are really unsophisticated investors. They're right now, they could have put $1,000 in, and they're sitting on $70,000 thinking oh, well, yeah, of course they want to screw the little guy. That's why they're trying to put a stop to it. But at the end of this ride is most of the little guys are going to be broke, maybe even thinking about committing suicide. It's already happened with these types of investors. This guy lost a hypothetical amount of money. He didn't even actually lose it. He just saw that large number and he killed himself.
Was that over Toyota or Ford? In Robinhood?
I don't remember what the trade was, but he did he did a spread basically where you buy one call and you sell a short, and one, if it loses out, the other's there to just make a ton of money and it'll cover that. You might not make any money, but at least you won't owe $700,000. I don't know what happened. It didn't print fast enough. So this kid saw negative $700,000 and was like, my life's over. And he just did it.
It's bad.
So there is a vested interest in the government stepping in here. It's not like these kids are just getting rich beyond belief and they want to shit on their parade. These kids they only have equity. They're not rich. They don't have cash, and that stuff could drop down tomorrow, and it will. Eventually, when the shorts aren't bidding up the price, because eventually they're all going to get out of their positions enough where the bottleneck isn't happening anymore. That's when you're going to see the price go down to $2. It's at 240 right now. You're going to see it drop to $2. The company's not worth much. It's worth whatever it could sell, that stores and the desks in the stores, maybe. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but
yeah, there's no reason for GameStop as a store to really exist anymore, because all the different video game companies and producers are basically going digital. You can't find, most people don't buy physical copies of their games anymore. They take up a lot of space. Outside of people that like collecting things and collector's editions, most people buy from Steam or the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Live Marketplace, and yeah, so GameStop's, what made GameStop so popular was that you could go buy and sell trade games, right? You can't do that anymore, really. It's just not possible. So
why even invest in something like that, though? But
well,
look at this.
Yeah.
GameStop, 134% gain, and then drops 18%. And then AMC.
AMC
all right.
is another one.
So So Melvin Capital is closed
Oh yeah,
as a
they're
result.
bankrupt. I think I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So I mean,
They
this
couldn't
is
get out.
no. This is what are they doing? GameStop's
Squeezing the shorts.
gains were 1,700 fucking percent. The last time that happened was Yahoo.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been saying it for a while. We're definitely in a bubble, and this is probably the
That's what
most
they're saying.
loud example or loud proof. When you hear, what was it, the Joe Kennedy quote? It's like when your shoe shiner tells you what stocks to pick, get out of the market. Well, this time it's like Redditors saying buy the dip, and then they call me like a slur. That's the time to get out of the market in 2021.
Well, they're being issued a warning now. I mean, they're being told, "What are you doing?" And it's a bubble. If they don't stop, it will be.
Yeah. I mean,
But
beyond this, it was a bubble for years.
But why are they doing
like,
this? If
we've
you
been
say there's
pumping
no
up way too much.
appreciable gain to them, what the hell are they doing?
Well, they're gaining money on
Pushing the shorts.
the sale.
They're
right
triggering,
now.
the shorts to buy back their stock at a price that they have to bid up. So it just naturally buys a stock. And the idea is that they're going to leave before everyone else does. It's like they call it like the greater fool theory. It's basically hot potato with a stock.
Yeah.
Whoever's last bag holding is going to just be broke.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
and it's
I know-
probably
I
not going
know.
to be big investors.
Yeah. I was in Merrill Lynch during the Big Short. So,
They're,
but
you see the
what are
same
these
thing in
kids?
crypto. So
And
John
what are these
Payne.
kids doing? Because they're either stupid or they're fully informed. I'm not sure which is
A
worse.
lot of them are very, very intelligent investors. Like we're talking, like I hang out with these people. Some of them have millions. Some of them are just straight up
Okay.
legit people, but a lot of them are just crazy kids. Like they come on the Discord and they're like, "What should I buy? What should I buy?" Like they're sitting there begging for someone just to give them a name. And if you give them any name, they'll buy it.
they'll buy it. Yeah.
Like I'll be like, "Listen, go," but they don't hear it or listen. It's just a wild ride right now. It's so weird.
It's pretty bad. You like I said, you see the same thing in crypto where I have
Crypto's
some
a part of it, yeah.
cryptocurrency, and I was doing the same thing. I wasn't asking people what should I buy. I was like legitimately looking up these things. I'm like, well, a lot of these are scam coins. I'm not gonna buy any of these things. But if you went onto like a cryptocurrency Facebook page or Reddit, and people would be on there like, hey, do you think ADA is a good buy? Do you think EOS is a good buy? Do you think this is a good buy? And it's just people. And as soon as somebody said yes, one person, didn't matter who it was, no research done whatsoever if the person's a good investor or if they know anything they're talking about. As soon as someone said yes, they're like, all right, I bought it. Dropped 1,000 G, drop 1 G on this. Let's go, YOLO. Like,
And a big misconception about all the short squeezing is that it's like just like lowly Redditors. Like they started it. They're the ones who got this whole meme rolling.
yep.
But there's a lot of institutional money in there now. Like everyone's like, look at the little guys sticking it to these big guys. It's like they were able to pump GameStop a little bit by just creating a frenzy, but they don't have enough money to pump all these short squeezes we're seeing now. Like these are real big investors getting involved, and it has been for a while now. Before it became mainstream news, it was big time investors in there.
And auto trading too. Like a lot of algorithms are trading on this information. They see the irrational exuberance, and they're trading on.
Well,
it.
actually, yeah, algos and everything like quants they call them.
Yeah.
They haven't been beating the market this time around. Like it's like a
can't.
stock pickers market this year. Yeah, like
Because it's
under
all
normal
irrational.
conditions. Exactly. Under normal conditions, they kill it. You know, they're just super fast with their algos and everything. With this, there's no rhyme or reason. So now they actually have like scrapers going to like Reddit and everything to find out what's said the most, and then they're just
My
like,
job.
I guess, dumping into that. Yeah, it's
bad.
it's crazy. It's weird.
We're approaching tulip mania on some of these things, and the crash is going to be disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, the whole tech thing, I've been saying it for a while. Like, we're in a tech bubble. Like, a lot of these valuations are where they are because Federal Reserve policy pushed large institutional investors out of bonds, and they have to go seek yield somewhere else. So all these they're really flush with cash. They're great companies like Apple, Microsoft, and everything. So they just dumped into there as if it's like a safe haven asset because there's nowhere else to get yield. So eventually that's all coming down. And the Fed pretty much told us, I mean, if everything goes according to plan, it'll be 2023 when they start raising rates, but they can't guarantee inflation won't rise or the long end of the yield curve won't start popping up. So we're just gonna have to wait.
And just to be clear, nobody on this
It's
panel
definitely a bubble.
is a fiduciary investor. We are not giving advice. We are discussing what we know about what is going on. So please,
I
do
run a
not
little
take this
hedge
advice
fund
and
called
do
Hugh Wall Street Bets. I mean, our Wall Street Bets.
do not take
I
any of
used
our
to, I used to
our
be a
discussion.
fiduciary. So
Do not take any of our.
I'm not
discussion.
saying a word. I'm not saying a word. I'm like,
Now with that said, I do think
With that
AMC
said.
is actually a good buy personally, because there's no reason to assume that AMC is going to go bankrupt after the pandemic is over. If anything, the right
There
assumption
was
is
until like Monday. Basically,
have a
they sold
Okay.
a ton of stock and raised money because there was a reason why these companies are so shorted. It's not
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's just these dolts just picking a company. Like, it was a bad company, but if you bump that price up enough, it's still going to screw the shorts. With AMC, before the pandemic, they were failing. They were getting destroyed. People weren't going there. They had so much vacancies that they basically were like, well, why don't we just get rid of half of the seats and make them nice big plush couches? A lot of them, I think AMC especially was doing that. So it was already a hurt industry. And then now you have a lot of these, what do you want to call them? Film companies going direct to consumer, which is really bearish also for them. Yeah. I'm not going to say I think they're going to go bankrupt, but if they don't, that stock is coming right back down to like $1. I think like they also diluted a ton of shares. Like before this, before this, they had about 56 million shares in float in circulation. When the price jumped up, they had about 350 million shares.
I didn't
And
know
don't
that.
get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. Like if you're running a company and your price shoots up and you need money, that's what you want to do. You sell shares. Like if someone's willing to buy, if someone's willing to say, "Ha, sucker, you're going to lose out on this bet," like the price is going to keep going up. I mean, I guess if you're the company, it's not really a lose, but
no, because that's what you opened your
let's say
IPO
everything
for.
goes-
Yeah.
So it has
let's say
cost you
everything-
at that point. It's costing you nothing. Everything is a gain.
Yeah.
My film
Yeah.
company, when we took it public, I was just like, Jesus Christ! You're like making $1,000 for every dollar.
damn.
Jesus. Well, I
Really?
didn't know all that, Mateo. My thinking was that there's going to be a ton of pent up demand once people get vaccinated and people
Even if
like
there
going
is.
to movies. So
Let's say everything else is equal. All else is equal. And then, after the squeeze, instead of crashing down, it just, goes right down to wherever fair value is. The fact that there's like 4 times as many shares out in circulation means that price is just going to be divided up
Yeah.
amongst many more shares. So the price per
gotcha.
share is going to tank anyway. Maybe
Well,
less than one, I guess, because it was one back at 50 million.
I don't think it's going to go back up to like $40 a share or whatever it was before the crater, but I would say like 10, 15.
Well, they were
that
just
was my
threatened with
thinking.
bankruptcy until they finally were able to raise all this capital. So
I gotcha.
it's not over, but they have a long cushion. They have probably a year or two.
Okay. Well,
40
I mean,
a
they get those things
share
around.
for AMC.
yeah, it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
40 a
Really
share.
low. Oh
I think I
yeah.
started getting in there at like $3 or something.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, that was after the GameStop short squeeze went. I started trusting these people a little more. Like I was approached about the game because I was in that community for a while before. I was approached about the GameStop squeeze, and I'm just like, no, get out of here. You guys aren't going to do that. They're like, no, there's enough of us, man. We're all going to do it. GameStop is the best. I was like, okay, buddy. And then it went up like a ton, and I'm like, oh, it's too late. It would have been nice to get in. It's too late. And then it doubled, and I'm like, oh, well, now it's too late. And then it just tripled, and I'm like, well, now it's too late. And then eventually they all started talking about all these other shorts, and I just basically looked into whatever has a narrative, like the opening up of the economy for AMC.
How did it go up? Like AMC went up 300%.
Yeah.
Today.
400.
Yeah.
No.
It's probably squeezing out shorts. There are
As
probably
of,
people there who started losing money. Yeah. Like if you shorted it when it was at $1 and it goes up to $3, you're panicking. And then if it's at 40, I mean, you're buying at any price to get out if you still can keep yourself solvent.
Yeah.
Well, within the last few hours, it's hit 400. So
Jesus. Well,
Damn, son.
I bought 30 shares, so
well, sell.
Okay.
No, why don't you just convert? I mean,
that's what I was
convert
doing. I'm not
to
actually day
securities.
trading. I put
No.
it into my IRA, and then
I wouldn't touch options with implied volatility this high right now. You're going to get IV crushed, and
No, that's what I'm saying.
you
So
could make a great call. Actually, I did short GameStop when it first doubled. I'm like, oh, I'm such a smart guy. I'm going to buy puts. I bought puts, and the price went exactly where I thought it was going to go. But the IV was so high that I still lost money. It's just everything's so crazy right now.
This is all Greek to me.
That's too bad.
What I did.
It's literally Greeks. Theta. Delta.
What I did is just when I bought my stock, a couple of actual stocks, I just put it in my Roth IRA, and then after it went to a certain point, I converted it to the market itself. So buying S&P 500. So, but yeah.
Okay.
It's possible I'm going to get burned on this. Like, I'm like, oh, I started buying at $3 and it's like $40 now. It's very possible that it'll go right down to $3 tomorrow. Like, it's hard to say, especially with all the SEC scrutiny that these kids are bringing on it.
It's going to be bad. Like that's a parabola right there. So we've been streaming for about an hour and a half. Is there any other topics that we need to cover? And if not, then I'll go ahead and close this out.
Stimulus check.
Oh, stimulus check. That's a good one.
They're gonna bypass the GOP to do it.
So is it going to go into the general budget? Is that how they're doing it?
Evidently, because this is what they're trying to do. I honestly have to say at this point, just cut the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And then let's all take our chances, okay?
So if it goes into the general budget, that explains why they went with $1,400. Because the general budget cannot increase the deficit more than what, like
No, man. They said $2,000. That's
2K.
why. They said $2,000. That's why they chose 14 because 600 was the first one. So in order to keep their promise, they had.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
that's a joke. But
I can't stand that. Like, whatever. It's another rant.
They have
did-
committed to 2,
community
but now
now?
it's
Okay.
the petition is around for 2K every month
Oh, okay.
until COVID.
Of course, that's not happening. That
I can't even see Democrats being like, yes. You know, some Democrats, of course, but a lot of Democrats, you got the moderate ones who'll be like,
yeah.
yeah.
The fact that
the
Manchin
Weimar
caved
Republic.
is pretty significant. People weren't expecting that.
Like
and
Zimbabwe.
Apparently, what happened with Manchin is that when he came out and boisterously said that no, we're going to go 1,400 because I don't want to give everybody 2K that doesn't need it. People were like, "Well, I need that money." And
But what about 14K to who doesn't need it? I don't get it. What's the logic behind
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
His logic.
I
is
draw
that
the line at 1,400. That's my morals.
His logic is that he would like to see people that have a job and haven't been really hurting not to get money, and then people that don't have a job or have been really hurting to get more. So
I could understand that. I mean, think about it. Every dollar you're giving, yeah. I mean, it makes sense though. Every dollar you're giving to someone, like, I mean, we could say that the government can hypothetically make as many dollars as they want, but that's not going to be what comes out of Congress. They're going to have a limited amount of money. So every dollar given to someone who, I mean, we could define need and we'll all disagree on where need is, but let's just say for sake of argument, every dollar given to someone who doesn't need it is $1 in opportunity cost. It could go towards helping these people who, like, there were people who are struggling. Even 2,000 isn't going to help them. So, like, I mean, it's probably a lot harder said than done, obviously, but I just think we should worry more about means testing.
Yeah, but that was his concern.
Within reason. If the means testing is going to cost more overall, then of course you don't means test, but I don't think it's
slow down
that expensive.
Much needed help that will end up leading.
Oh yeah,
to
if time is of the essence, like
outcomes.
don't worry about means testing. If you got to get it out, is means testing is just shooting yourself in the foot. If it's got to go out tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah. But with Manchin, apparently billboards and lots of angry phone calls had him questioning his stance. My guess is that some powerful union lobby people got in touch with him. West Virginia is very conservative, but they still have a pretty significant unionization among the coal workers. So that would be my guess is who put the pressure on him. Because his seat is very tenuous. He needs every single Democratic supporter he can have, and then he needs a little bit of Republican support in order to win. If it's not Manchin, honestly, it's probably someone that's way more conservative. We're talking like QAnon conservative coming out of West Virginia to replace him.
Mothman?
Mothman, yes, Mothman. Mothman will be replacing Mansion.
That'll fix everything. I'm certain of it. Positive. That's what was missing all this time. Go figure.
Monarch Butterfly.
Go
Go Team Venture. Anyways.
Team Venture.
All right, everybody. And with that, I am sad to say that we are out of time. Universal Discourse, thank you so much for joining us again. We would be glad if you were to join us again in the future. So keep a lookout
thank you.
in your inbox.
You're welcome.
We're trying to crowdsource as much of this as possible. So we want to get more in touch with the Twitch community and have more Twitch streamers on our shows when we can. So thank you again.
Well, I really appreciate being invited, but of course, we're going to be dragging you over to debates too. Thursdays is extremism, so better be good. But
yes.
maybe that'll help you integrate a little more, you know.
And yes,
just get your hip waders ready. Sorry.
No, that's all good. It's all good. I didn't have the camera on, so I didn't realize. Sorry about that. But yes, I will be joining Universal Discourse tomorrow on her channel at 7 p.m. Central, so 8 p.m. Eastern, to talk about extremism and whether or not violence is not necessary, but it can be justified in order to make political change. I do not know which position I'll be taking on that one. I'll be filling in as needed, like I usually do, because I can argue both sides of the position, even though it might not necessarily be the position that I hold. So be sure to tune in to Universal Discourse channel tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, like always, keep your head up through the political storm.
Bye. Bye.